Welcome to English Country Life. This is our amazing cottage in the middle of the English countryside, and these are our cottage garden flower beds. We've had some amazing compliments on social media and on the channel about how these beds look during the year. We've got a busy small holding here and I've got very little time to spend maintaining the flowers. So today I'd like to talk you through how I've gone about making sure that these really look after themselves to a large extent. Welcome, my name's Fiona. We run a busy small holding here, so we have very little time to maintain the pretty things in our property, like these flower beds. I'm not a professional gardener. I'm not even what I regard as an expert gardener, but over the years I've learnt a number of techniques. And I've developed 5 golden rules which I apply to these flower beds, which means I spend very little time on them, but they look good enough for us to sit in the garden and admire the flowers, or in the house and look at something gorgeous for as long as possible during the year. And I want to share those 5 rules with you today. The first golden rule is variety, and in these beds I've got a huge array of plants. I've got bulbs of many different types. I've got daffodils, tulips, lilies, all sorts. I've also got a huge amount of perennials like red hot pokers, delphiniums, hollyhocks, lupins, a huge variety. That gives us 2 advantages. The first is succession. So we've got colour nearly for the entire year. Even in January, I've got primroses poking through the snow, and I've got wallflowers thinking about putting out some flower spikes. In the summer, this is a blaze of colour. It's absolutely magnificent, with incredibly tall delphiniums, lupins and hollyhocks giving me lots and lots of colour. The second advantage that variety gives us is that we're unlikely to have any spaces, because if one plant fails to do well, another one will take over. Even within plant types, I might find that the particular variety of red tulips that I've got don't do particularly well, but my purple variety will do really well and fill in those gaps. And if I do have any gaps, that's where the annuals come in, because that's how I use them. They only last for 1 year and they'll plug any individual spaces. So that's golden rule number 1, have lots of variety in flower beds. Golden rule number 2 may seem a very obvious one, but it's to do with the heights of the flowers. What we decided in this garden is we wanted to be able to view as many of the flowers as possible from our garden table, which is behind where the camera is at the moment, but also from inside the house. Now that meant what I've done is I've put the tallest plants right in the middle, and then I've got graduated heights to the outside. Now you can't really see the full effects at the moment because it's April and the tallest plants won't achieve their greatest height till July, August. But here to the left of me I've got my delphiniums and I've got my hollyhocks, which will end up at about 6 foot tall. I've then got lupins, which are also around 5 foot tall, and the gradual heights go down to the edges where I've got my primroses, my gaillardias, my dianthus, so that I can view as many of the beautiful colours as possible, both from the garden and from inside the house. Golden rule number 3 is that plants haven't read the catalogues. Let me explain. Your plant catalogues will tell you that a plant is an annual, so will last a year, or a biennial, so 2 years, or perennial, so should have a good long life. Now that is based on average. And it may be that your garden is slightly different. There's less nutrients, there's more nutrients, there's more wind, there's less wind, there's more sunshine, there's less sunshine. And a particular combination may not work as well for those plants. So adapting to that is absolutely key. It may be that certain plants just simply won't grow and don't like the particular aspect of where you want them to go. But the key to a successful cottage garden is just adapting to that. So don't grow it, grow something else, find something else. Hollyhocks in this garden are the one thing which I've never been able to grow as a perennial. All the gardening catalogues tell me they are perennial and they grow to a given height and they will like the particular aspect of this garden. Unfortunately, they act as biennials here, so instead of lasting for years and years and years, after the second year they just keel over no matter what I do. Now with hollyhocks I've decided not to give up on them, so my adaptation instead is to every second year plant some more, grow them on and fill in the gaps where the last hollyhock has actually keeled over. And that works, but the key to that is keep adapting and don't be afraid to adapt. The next golden rule is a simple one. It's if it lives, it lives. If it dies, replace it. And that's something which I've grown to not be afraid to do over the years. It's very easy to look at the plant catalogues and think that the plants are going to behave exactly as advertised, but I've learned through dreadful experience actually that things don't work that way. And this is a prime example. This is a dead gaillardia. Now at the front of the house I've got two flower beds, one to the left of the front door, one to the right of the front door. Gaillardias in the bed to the left of the front door do incredibly well. The soil over there has slightly more moisture in it and it's got more sunlight, and I think they like it over there a lot more. Over this side though, on the right hand side of the front door, they hate it, and no matter what I do I cannot get them to survive. So this gaillardia is going to be taken out today and I'm going to replace it with something else. This brings me on to golden rule number 5, my fifth and final golden rule, and that is pack in the plants, prevent the weeds. There are lots of things which people do to prevent weeds taking hold. You can put a mulch down, but instead, because I want a lot of interest and a lot of things to look at, I pack in lots of plants with very lush foliage, which means it's less likely that weeds will get in underneath, take hold, because they can't get the light. Now the only downside with this arrangement is that it means the soil needs a lot of nutrition, but I get around that because clearly we've got the chickens. I collect their poultry poo every single day, pop it in a bucket, then I rot it down for about 18 months or so, and in winter I will spread it on these beds to add extra nutrition. Now I do it in winter partly because the plants in the main have gone back into the soil, so I can spread it fairly evenly, but it also means that the snow and the ice and the subsequent rain will also wash that nutrition gradually into the soil, which means by the time the plants are ready to pop up, they have had a very, very good feed. Now that may not work for everyone, but it also gives us the advantage that we've got lots of interest because I've got so many plants that there's always some colour and something beautiful to look at. All of these rules together work, but I've got to live with the fact as well that it's never going to be perfect. Here we have got some weeds coming in, but at the moment they're not ruining the overall effect of the garden. So for now, I'm going to leave them just for a few days while I get on with some other jobs. Perfection is not something I'm ever going to achieve here, but it's low maintenance and I can take my time and do the work when I'm ready. Those are our 5 golden rules that we use to create our cottage garden. I hope you've enjoyed this content, and if you have, take a moment and give me a thumbs up below. If you're not already a subscriber, come and join us. Hit subscribe and the bell icon and you'll get to know of every new video as soon as it's published. Don't forget you can buy our branded t-shirts in our eBay store, and a link to that is in the description down below. If you've got a question for us, or if you've got an idea for another video that you'd like us to make, leave it in the comments section and we'll do our best to get back to you as soon as possible, or even make that video for you. But for now, thanks for watching and we look forward to seeing you next time.